What is up, Bomb Squad? Welcome to the Burndown YouTube channel. I wrapped up on the condenser install. Instead of having you guys painfully watch me try to stumble through and put this thing together, I figured I would show you the aftermath of how it turned out. And then hopefully you guys don't have better ideas, because it's already in and welded and painted. So if you have a really good idea for this, don't put it in the comments, because then I'm just going to feel bad that I didn't upload the video and take your advice sooner. But bam, here she is, the old triple stack. So I used the giant Mamma Jamma condenser that Jason at War sponsored me with. So it's essentially the same size as my radiator core. But the issue is, here's the center of my car. We offset everything for this freaking beach ball size fun haver over here. So that all worked, everything's cool, it fit. But because this thing's big, see how I have this post here? I have a post there, obviously, because this just isn't going to hover. And then that put the fittings pretty much into it, because otherwise I could have squared it up and given myself more room on the turb ski. But I kept it back off of this because we're gonna have to be able to screw the nut on, so this thing has to be able to rotate, you know, and party, and same with this dude down here. But I also have to be able to jig jog this thing, so I know it's probably gonna be a big pain in the butt to get these on here. So I gave myself room, because I know from doing tubing that I have a little more room probably than I need, I hope, this way, because I'd rather be a little further this way and have that line work than a little closer and give myself room and then it's screwed and then it's worthless, right? So we will see when we go to war what kind of struggles I have getting the hard line onto here. And then the rest of the plumbing's straightforward, it's simple. And then this dude, we mounted it off of the condenser. So I was trying to figure out maybe like a good way, maybe stick it on here. But had I welded these and made it permanent, you wouldn't be able to, like, you take this off, you'll have these pieces here, and I would probably have to jack the carb really high, and then I have the splitter, so I don't even know if I can get the condenser out. Possibly, I guess, but again, life easy, you can actually just take it off, right? So I can either take it off here, or take this off, or just crack the lines and pull this dude out, right? And then they would come out together. So that was kind of the idea. And then as far as spacing goes, we got about a finger worth there, and a little more than a finger worth here. So I think it should be good to go. This dude's kind of hanging, so hopefully it's good. If this has any sort of issue on the trans temp, if I see anything goofy, or maybe not, I might just get a little piece of like rubber or something, and like, I don't know if you just rivet it to the, because this is where the fluid's flowing through, so this should be okay, I think, for like a shallow rivet or something. But just to kind of give this a path to suck air through. We'll see how she does. This fan works pretty good, and then we'll just give it the beans if we have to. But I feel like it'll be all right, because we had a pretty good distance previously. That's the other thing too, is where these are, the lines didn't really change. That's kind of how I put this in here. So technically we had the room behind it, which I built into it with Jason and I just didn't want to have to get into my air box, and then I made this over there that is now worthless, and so that is awesome. But it's done. I'm not going to complain too much, except for the charge pipe now. So while I was putting all this in, I was fitting the charge pipe, and I can snake it around and get it to go, but it hits over here, so we have to do some more jig jog. And luckily I can Zeus the bumper on and off, so thankfully that's a pretty simple task. So I think we'll kind of put it on, eyeball it, then I'll cut it free, and then put this side on, and we'll just make up whatever jig jog, and then we can fit the bumper on and off till that thing works, and then we'll weld that up, and then she's done. I would like to put one of these clamps, I think, at some point on here, if that's feasible. That would be pretty dope to get that thing off instead of doing the other guys, but I digress. So that is a look at that. That's how I tackled this. And then I just have a dryer. We'll do the dryer, I'm thinking, just stick it right on this thing here, right? The line's gonna come through over here somewhere. Just cruise them over to the dryer. Just have the dryer hanging out. We'll have to cycle the tire. I don't think the tire, you know, I don't know. We'll see what the dryer does. Probably backside or something, because the AC compressor has to be like over here. So I'm thinking I might even kind of hold off on the dryer, dude. Maybe we can stick it here. I don't know if, I think it might have to be strapped down. Maybe we can just make a bracket off of here, right? So the line can come through over here, and then into the dryer, and then, so I think that should be pretty easy. So maybe I'll just dream that up, but we won't really mount it. And then I got to make a bulkhead holes. And then that is it, man. We got the little Mamma Jamma Chingadera up under the dash. I'll give you guys a gander at that. Look at that. Whew, look at that unit. That's right, we want it on low, and we want it on max. So, yeah, so that thing is in, and then hopefully it does well. And then if you're wondering what we're gonna do for an air filter, I don't want to run this thing 1,000 miles plus on the street without a filter. And then, yeah, we don't have a lot of room now. So we had to where the radiator was here before, but now we just sucked up more of that space. And initially I thought maybe to cut into that and kind of make it work, but at this point I'm just abandoning that. And then I ordered the little filter like Devin Vanderhoof runs on his guy. So what I'm thinking is we'll just make a little clampy-do guy, and then it'll slide in filter, right? Then you just unslide it in, and then that is it. So maybe when I make the little sliding guy, we can put like a crest or something to kind of guide the air. But ultimately, we're gonna probably suck a bit of hot air off of this. Obviously, we're not running the condenser while we're racing, so that shouldn't be too bad. And then just the radiator temp. But we'll figure out something, some sort of little heat shieldy guy, just to guide the cool air in as much as we can get it. I thought about, you know, when you look down here when I have stuff on, like this is kind of open, like maybe I can make a dude here and just filter the air up. And at the end of the day, I think I'm just overcomplicating something simple. And I think just covering the turbine housing so we don't get rocks in it, so my wheel doesn't die, and then taking it off, we'll just sacrifice whatever amount of power. We should, you know, you're getting fresh air rushing this way, so at least it's not completely like in the engine bay and this is all blocked off and it's just sucking hot air. It will be getting some fresh air, but it's not ideal. You know, it's not out in the fresh air, but again, compromise. And if this sticking over and looking a little donkey equals my air conditioning actually working versus this being in line over here and having a little more room and having the air filter that I had on there, that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. Just compromise. And again, if I put a bit smaller one and I had to come back, I would have had to redo all this and I'd be pissed. So I'd rather just have the biggest bad boy on there, and then if we have to replace this, a new one will bolt in. Bolting one on is not as big a deal as making something exist that didn't exist before. So thank you for listening to my TED Talk. Until next time, you guys know what to do. I'm out.
Rolling through the streets, yeah, I'm the king of the block. Got that dragon dry style, make your whole city rock. Malibu gangster, with a touch of finesse. I'm burning rubber, raising hell, feel the heat, no stress. Turbo LS, under the hood, I'm moving quick. Nicky tires grip the road, make them stick like a trick. She sloppy too, we got a hit in 08. In the war performance parts all over the place. The bomb squad's